Hey there, it's Kit. Welcome to a short series of videos I'm going to make about Mega Man Master Weapons and how good they are and what all different things you can do with them. First, as a point of reference, we'll take the standard Mega Buster. You can only have 3 shots on screen at once. This is to somewhat discourage auto fire, I suppose. We'll be using this as a basis of comparison. On a 10-point scale, I'm going to call the Mega Buster a 5. So that's going to be my base point. As you can see, this is the only Mega Man game where if your shots are tinked off an enemy, they just disappear instead of bouncing off the screen and counting as still being on the screen. But anyway, that's enough of that nonsense. Let's get to the first power. Alright, first on the list is the Hyper Bomb, which you get from Bomb Man, obviously. Why is Mega Man green? Anyway, you throw a bomb in kind of an arc. It explodes after quite a long time. The bomb itself has no hitbox, and if you hit an enemy while it's invincible, it does nothing. So, yeah, it's not that great. A major test of the Hyper Bomb's power will be versus these Picket Men. As you can see, the Hyper Bomb does destroy them in one hit, but couldn't you just be shooting at them anyway with almost any other weapon you care to name? Oh, and look, I missed. Given that you have to be lucky to even hit Gutsman with the Hyper Bomb, he can easily jump out of its range like so. I'm going to go ahead and just give the Hyper Bomb a 1 out of 10 and put it to rest. This is seriously a tedious power. Pretty much on the exact opposite spectrum of usefulness from the Hyper Bomb is the Thunder Beam, this atrocious gray and light yellow coloration. In addition to spewing electric death in 3 directions, it can even pop these Gutsman only blocks, reportedly, and all of that for only 1 unit of energy. Buy yours today by beating Electman. One of its only weaknesses is that the Thunder Beam curves in an arc when you fire it, and its hitbox is shaped like it is. So you can find yourself not being able to shoot some enemies sometimes because the beam will just arc right over them. But barring that, you know, the up and down beams are good. Beating these Gutsman blocks is sometimes useful. And all in all, it's just a very good weapon. One of the only things the Beam, or Thunder Beam rather, can't do is take out Picket Man handily, not at all. How about Thunder Beam versus Big Eye? That should be a laugh. Well, it's not too bad actually. I'm gonna go ahead and give the Thunder Beam a 10 out of 10. I'm gonna go ahead and call it right now. The Super Arm is a 1 out of 10. You get this from Gutsman. Now, you can only use it if you have these blocks available. When you throw them, they sort of arc until they hit something and then they crumble to bits. Let's see if I can throw one without anything interfering. See, that's kind of how they do it. And now that I don't have any of those blocks to use, I am totally defenseless, making this power almost useless, except for beating Cutman, of course. Here's a note: about halfway up Electman's stage, you can use the Super Arm or Electman's own weapon, which would require a revisit, to get the Magnet Beam. Now notice I already have it, but it's still there. So just take away the blocks, and you can grab it. Now, amusingly enough, that puts that back up to full. Next is Iceman's Ice Slasher. Now, it doesn't do any direct damage, it just prevents enemies from moving or acting for a little bit. As you can see, they still have their hitbox. But an interesting point is that once it's off screen, you can switch to other weapons and they'll stay frozen, making them easy picking, sort of. So it's totally ineffective as a regular weapon, but it's somewhat effective as a utility weapon. As you can see, it can also freeze these flame geysers that you see in Fireman's stage. Now the flame geysers they're the size that you see they are. As you can see, I shot at practically nothing and I still froze it. Since the Ice Slasher has some uses but not a lot, I'm just going to give it a 3 out of 10. So here's another use of the Ice Slasher. If a big guy does a high jump, you can freeze it and just walk right under it. But we can also get some justice versus them by freezing it and then letting loose with the regular gun. Yeah, that feels good. Next we have Cutman's Rolling Cutter. As you can see, it throws a single cutter. You can only have one on screen at once. It tries to follow you, so let's see how it can come back pretty quick, as you can see. But if it leaves the screen, it won't come back to you. One of the Rolling Cutter's main failings is that it takes forever to beat an enemy who won't die in one hit from it, such as this Sniper Joe. That, coupled with its awkward curve and short range, make me give this one a 3 out of 10 as well. I mean, it's not a bad weapon, but it just could be a lot better. Now here comes another pretty good weapon. It's the Firestorm from Fireman. It shoots a straight shooting ball of fire forward that penetrates, which, you know, that isn't much. A lot of the weapons in Mega Man 1 penetrate. It's also got this nifty little shield that goes around you that can destroy enemies in close proximity to you. So all in all, it is pretty dang useful. And if you shoot it near a ladder, sometimes you can get the fire shield to stay on you for a lot longer than normal. Not quite sure what triggers that. A special note about the Firestorm is that it can destroy picket men in one hit, where they usually take multiple shots from other weapons. So its versatility and overall power, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I still think the Thunder Beam edges it out a little bit. So the Magnet Beam is in Electman's stage, and it is in fact vital to the game's completion, so you might as well get used to it. It shoots platforms 2 energy per use, and they only last a set time. But you can make them pretty much as long as you can stand to hold the button, so they're pretty useful. But if they do run out, you fall like an accelerated rock, pretty much at your terminal velocity. So it can be quite stressful. But it's very useful. I give it a 9 out of 10. If you practice releasing them during the peak of your jump and then fall or jump right into them, you can use it as a pretty impressive platform. So with that, that is the end of the arsenal of Mega Man 1. So see you in the sequel.